nine, eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
Hello everyone, I'm so happy to see you all again today. Let's continue with episode 2 as we explore this book called Lift the Flap, Questions and Answers about Space. Today we're talking about why. And from these why questions, I'm sure we'll find many interesting and surprising things. Let's get started, friends. First question, why do people go to space? Space is a big mystery filled with stars, planets, and galaxies. People become astronauts and go to space for many exciting reasons. First, to learn about the universe. Space is the perfect place to discover more about the universe. Astronauts use telescopes in space to look far into the stars, where they can see things we can't see from Earth. This helps us understand how stars are born, why planets look the way they do, and much more. Second, to do experiments in low gravity. Space is special because it has very little gravity. This means things float around, including astronauts. They use this unique environment to do experiments, like seeing how planets grow or how liquids behave when they aren't being pulled down by the gravity. This helps scientists come up with new ideas and inventions that can be useful on Earth. Third, to study our planet Earth. From way up in space, astronauts get the best view of our planet. They can see how oceans move, how clouds form, and even track storms from above. This big picture view helps us protect our environment, understand climate change, and make better decisions to take care of our Earth. Every time astronauts go to space, they help us learn new things that make our world a better place. Their adventures are not just exciting, they teach us about our planet and beyond. Now let's move to the second why. Why do astronauts go underwater? Have you ever floated in a swimming pool and felt like you're flying? That's a bit of what space feels like, because there's no gravity to hold you down. Astronauts need to practice for this feeling before they can fly off into space. That's why they go underwater. So, why do astronauts go underwater? First, to get an idea of what space feels like without gravity. Underwater, your body can float around, which is very similar to being in space, where there is no gravity pulling you to the ground. Astronauts practice in big swimming pools to feel what it's like to move and work when they are floating. Second, to practice their space jobs while they are underwater. Astronauts also practice the jobs they will do in space. They put on suits that are a bit like their spacesuits and perform tasks that they will have to do on their space mission. This practice helps them learn how to fix things, use their tools, and work together when they are floating around during their real space trip. By training underwater, astronauts become ready to handle the challenges of working in space where floating is part of their everyday life. Let's now open the book and I'll show you something amazing. Hey look! Why is there a black hole in this book? Let's flip the flap. Aha! Because there are black holes in space too. Well, imagine space as a big dark playground, and a black hole is like a special spot in that playground. Just like we have holes in the ground where all sand can go into, Space has black holes where even the speed of light can't escape. You know how we use a vacuum cleaner and sucks up all the dirt? A black hole is like a giant vacuum in space. It's so powerful that nothing, not even the speed of light, can run away from it. That's why it's black, because all the light gets sucked in and doesn't come out. And just like we find holes in different places on the ground, there are black holes in different parts of the universe too. They are part of how the universe works, like pieces in a big puzzle. Now let's go on to the fourth question. Fourth question. Why do astronauts wear spacesuits? Imagine you want to go outside and play in the snow, but it's really cold. You'd wear your warmest coat, a hat, gloves, and boots to keep safe and warm, right? Well, astronauts wear spacesuits for a similar reason, but instead of going into the snow, they go into space. A spacesuit is like a super special outfit that helps astronauts stay safe and comfy in space, where there is no air to breathe and it's very cold. The suit has several parts. First, a thin underlayer that keeps the astronaut's body warm and comfy. Second, a thick, stiff outer layer that protects them from space dust and keeps them safe from bumps. Third, a helmet with a TV camera and lights so they can see where they are going and talk to friends in the spaceship. Fourth, a backpack that has important things like oxygen to breathe and water to drink. Fifth, gloves to protect their hands and let them grab things. 6. A drink bag inside their helmet so they can sip water. And 7. A control panel to help them check if everything in the suit is working right. Now let's discuss the fifth why. Why does the Earth move around the suns? Have you ever played with magnets? When you put them near each other, they pull toward each other, right? Well, the sun and Earth act a bit like those magnets, but instead of magnets, they use something called gravity. Gravity is like a super strong pulling power that the sun has because it's very big and heavy. The sun is the heaviest thing in our solar system, which is like our big space neighborhood. Because it's so heavy, it has a lot of gravity, and this gravity pulls on Earth and all the other planets to keep them moving around in a big circle. So, Earth moves around the sun because the sun's gravity pulls on it, just like a magnet pulls on metal things. This is how Earth and all the other planets keep spinning around the sun in their path, making a beautiful dance in space. Remember, in space, all lighter objects move around heavier objects. Let's continue with the next why. Why do some planets have rings? Alright friends, have you seen beautiful pictures of planets with beautiful rings around them, like Saturn or Uranus and other gas giants? Those rings look like shiny circles from far away. But they are not solid like bracelets. They are actually made of teeny tiny pieces of rocks and ice, kind of like floating sparkles in space. Now, you might wonder where all these sparkles come from. Astronomers, who are scientists that study stars, planets, think that these rings could be from moons that got too close to the planet and broke apart. Imagine a snowball that breaks into pieces when you throw it too hard. They got pulled apart by the planet's gravity, its pulling power, and turned into lots of small pieces. These pieces then spread out and started floating around the planet, forming a big, beautiful ring. So when we see rings around a planet, we're actually looking at lots of teeny tiny moon pieces that are sparkling in the sunlight. Now let's discuss the seventh why. Why do stars twinkle? Friends Gallo and Gally, Have you ever seen how the bottom of a pool looks wavy when you look at it through the water? The stars twinkle in a similar way, but it's not the water that's doing it, it's the air. When the light from a star travels all the way to Earth, it has to pass through the Earth's atmosphere, which is made up of layers of air. The air up there moves around a lot, and it's not all the same temperature or density. This makes the light from the stars bend a little bit, kind of like light wobbling through water. Because the light is bending in different directions, the stars seem to twinkle or blink when you look at them through the ground. So stars don't really twinkle by themselves. It's just the Earth's atmosphere playing a trick on our eyes, making the stars' light dance before it reaches us. Now let's go to the eighth why. Why does the moon change shape? Have you ever played with a flashlight and noticed how it lights up only a part of the room? The moon is a bit like that. It's always round like a ball, but it's looking like it changes shape because of how the sun shines on it. The moon goes around the earth, and as it moves, the sun lights up different parts of it. Sometimes we can see the whole round moon when it's all lit up and bright. If you are lucky, you can even find a supermoon. But this one is called a full moon. Other times, we see only a small part of the moon because the sun is only shining a little bit of it. This makes it look like a banana or a thin slice. So the moon itself doesn't really change its shape. What changes is how much of it we can see shining because of where the sun is shining on it. It's like a game of hide and seek, where the moon hides some parts of itself and shows others. The next why is, why can't I see stars in daytime? Imagine you're using a teeny tiny flashlight in a very bright room. It's hard to see the flashlight's light because the room lights up so much brighter, right? It's similar with stars during daytime. The sun is like a giant flashlight that shines so brightly it makes it hard to see the other stars in the sky. When the sun is up, its light spreads all over and fills the sky, and this light scatters in the air. That's why the sky looks blue. The sun's bright light covers up the little lights from the stars, so we can't see them. But you can sometimes see the moon during day, right? That's because the moon is much closer to us than any other stars, so it looks big and bright enough for us to see. And guess what? Even though we can't see other stars, we can see one very special star in the daytime. The sun! Yes, the sun is actually a star. It's the closest star to us. And that's why it's so bright and makes it hard to see the others. Friends, this is the last why question. Why are these astronauts in a cave? Imagine you're getting ready for a big adventure where you'll explore new exciting places. Astronauts do that too. But before they can go to space, they need to practice to make sure they can handle tricky situations. These astronauts are in a cave because it's part of their training for a big space mission. Being deep inside a cave is a lot like being out in space. You might wonder how, right? Well, in both places, you need to be very careful about where you step. You have to sometimes stay connected with ropes sometimes, and you really need to work well with your friends to stay safe and succeed. So the cave helps astronauts learn to move around in tough spots, watch their steps carefully, and work together as a team, just like they would on a spacewalk around the moon or a planet. This way, when they finally go to space, they're ready for their big adventure. Alright friends, keep following the Galu and Gali channel so you don't miss out on the next episodes about space. See you!
Estimates.